And let me make sure my stylus is set. All right. So, Christian, let's have a look, see at what we have. And I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Do you have a mic? Hey, Christian, how are you?
Hi. Is my volume okay?
What's up?
Is my volume okay, or is it too loud?
No, your volume's perfect, although just let me know if you're getting any echo when you speak.
All right.
All right, actually, this should solve that.
I have no speakers on, so should be no echo.
All right. Let's see, try one more time. All right, so I like the progress that you've made on your piece. I like that you reintroduced, where was it? Which shot was it in? I think it was in, you're talking about releasing minions right here. So are you planning on reincorporating these elements that are coming off to the side?
I don't know, it's just an odd screenshot. When I look at the front silhouette of my turtle creature, it might need something in the wide range. Like it could use some things on the side, but I'm not sure on that.
I think, honestly, I would keep these coming from front to back. I think it's nice, and I would add this. So I would, let's go to your front shot. Yeah, I think these coming out from the side would sort of complete out your silhouette a little bit better. Right? So I would add that. Let's look across while we're looking at silhouette. Everything looks good here, and I'm going to look at your stages here and read these. All things attached, full power, does not use psi yet. So these are all your notes on all the different attacks it's going to do and how it's going to animate, correct?
Yeah.
And effect, cool, nice. I like that you've done this, that you've thought about all this. It's really nice. Timed area effect. Really attacking the heart, and now that time the tentacles will have regrown and players will have to fight those again to get back underneath. Well, that's annoying. No, I'm just kidding. That's cool.
Yeah.
I already chopped those off. Why are they regrowing? Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm seeing, I think aside from just elaborating on what you already have, in other words, we're going to go in this week and come in and start polishing things up and tightening areas up, which it looks like you've already started to do in the legs. I'd like to see you add this and maybe even another set. Make him an octopod. All right, so give him eight legs.
Yeah, cool.
Right, and you have this language that you're speaking in the legs, and you've started to. It looks like you incorporated that in these tentacles here. I think that would be wise to repeat that here.
Yeah, it would give him some defense on the sides maybe as well.
Yeah.
And makes for a cool silhouette. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let me jump over to your next image. Melee, you have here. Psi attack, cool. Gas, cool. And poison, and I would probably do. These are his limbs, right? Here and here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So then on the other ones I would put the put the poison on the tentacles that are coming out here, of course, too. Right.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Nice. Nice. You have gas coming out the front too. It might be kind of cool if you could, just as a thought, maybe do a version where you have these. You have like this area here, and it looks like from the side, there's a potential area here. Maybe before the gas attack, this inflates, and maybe you might want to see what that looks like when it does that, right?
Yeah, cool.
Right, so it inflates and then it releases the gas. That way it's sort of like it's a tell, right? So, and it'd be cool to try and design that out and see, see where that takes you. So just to repeat, tentacles, right, off to the side. Go through and sculpt out that inflated mode. Right, it almost looks inflated here, right? But I could see these sort of moving forward, right, as it inflates.
Yes.
Like the whole thing expands, right? And then this would be inflating from, I think I'm doing this in the right spot, from here, all right? And then maybe this opens up too.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions?
Do you recommend doing that using blend shapes or morph things, or?
I would probably do it on. I'd probably do it on a layer.
Oh, right.
Right. Yeah, do it on a layer and then do it quickly so you can get like a pre-visualization of what that's going to look like. And then when you finish sculpting out the final on the end, the final mesh in that the retopologized mesh inside of Maya, you'll do another blend shape and you'll just follow use your initial one as a guide. It looks like my battery's running a little low. Hold on one second. I would hate to lose power on you guys mid-session. Do you have any other questions outside of
that? About the gameplay-wide things, or?
As far as what specifically?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh no, I was saying, do you have any other questions? You said about gameplay. So, what specifically about gameplay do you have a question about as far as?
No, I think. No, I think I'm good as far as gameplay is concerned. I have some cool ideas, I think, and I'm gonna work those out.
One more thing I just caught. I think this is great to use this as a minion. Your original design.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. So is this his egg sac then here, or no? This is where the gas is released.
Yeah.
Or would they just be swarming around him constantly? Like where will he spawn from? Just out of curiosity.
From the top thing.
This part right here?
Top thing that will like fall open and disappear.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'd recommend sculpting out that state, right? If you have all these mechanics that are happening, the reason why I say that is because if that's going to be part of the mechanics, it needs to be sorted out as much as you're sorting out the limbs, right? So this needs to be modeled in such a way that it can open up and animate in that way. You can't just have it closed up, right?
Yeah, I was deciding between this so it does open up and some version of like a big sack with veins and that will burst open.
Cool.
But
Very
I
cool.
like this look slightly better, but I don't know. I will try both, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a very strong piece that you're developing, and I'll just repeat myself one more time. Tentacles. So now we have a laundry list, right? So tentacles, then inflation for the gas, and then minion spawn state. Oop, ran out of space. I'll just crawl up the side of the document. There we go. Minion spawn state, inflammation for inflation for the gas, and then add those extra tentacles in. And I think you're going to be in a good spot for Wednesday. All right?
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Christian. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute now.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, Claude, let's see what you have. How are you?
Good.
Good, man. All right, so let's head down over to course projects. All right, and I'm going to grab a couple views of your dude. Let me close up these other documents. So while I'm doing this, why don't you tell me your overall concept for this guy, since we haven't really had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah. I'm doing a graphic novel, and this creature is a creature that was it was a spore that was trapped on Earth in the Ukraine, and it gets released because of the war, and it combines its DNA with 2 or 3 different species, and it was actually chained beneath the Earth, and during the bombing, that's what releases it. That's why, but it was chained. It was imprisoned there by a species of alien. That's the reason why it has the shackles and all that stuff. I took what you said to heart, so I was like, wow, that's a superbly good idea about the accessories. So this creature basically is it's I would say it's about the size of, I'll say it's like 4 stories tall.
Okay, so it's about 40 feet high.
Yeah, and it has the top head. It's a composite, like different creatures. The top head is the I call it the attack head. It's like the hog-looking creature with the crab legs coming out of its ears.
Yeah.
That's the one that protects the inner face, which is the smaller face in the middle. That face in the middle is the main face, the brains, the different eyes. There are tentacles beneath its throat, and there's a long, not a mandible, but like a striking pincer that comes out from its throat as well. And there are little squiggly things beneath it. That's how it eats, because the tentacles latch on, and the pincer jabs, and it pulls it into those squiggly things. So
You're talking about these here?
Yeah, for you to be ingested.
Okay.
And the scene is winter. It's cold. It's a Ukrainian tank yard. That's where it is, and the way it duplicates is by, once it starts to consume you, it basically defecates defecates a portion of you mixed with its own DNA, and that thing changes and becomes its minion. But it mixes your DNA with it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my impressions. It's good to hear all your backstory. I think that's fantastic that you've gone through and you've thought about that, and you have a reason for everything to exist in there. And I think that you've thrown a lot of ideas into this guy. And you have a lot going on. And I think you've kind of gone full out and you've added in all these things, and I think now you need to pull it down and tighten it up a little bit. Because what I'm seeing is a bit of confusion in your read, right? So if I look from the side, I get that what you're saying, these are shackles, these are metal plates that are that because he was enslaved. I think that if he's that large, these chains are huge, and you're not necessarily selling everything that you're saying, right? It's not like these legs are all the same size. One, like that's the first thing. Like this is all, and actually, if I even look at the body, so here's the body. Is the width of the body is consistent all the way through. It's kind of like a centipede. The legs are consistently the same size. Yeah, I think now that you've gone through and you kind of, what am I trying to say? The fact that you've gone through and you've put all these ideas into it. I guess I'm just repeating myself. You're gonna have to tighten it up. So I would say at this point, you should go to nature and find out where something similar like this exists. And you need to work to mimic that accurately and follow the reference. The reason why I'm saying that is like you've gone in, you said, okay, here's all my ideas. I'm pulling from my subconscious, just throwing it out there and then putting it together. But now it has to be tightened up because it doesn't have, it's not easily read. Like I'd say the head is difficult to read. Like I can definitely see that this is a head and that these are legs, but beyond that, it's difficult to go, okay, here's a distinct mouth, or I can't see, the three heads. They don't seem, they're kind of stacked like a, sorry, wrong one. They're stacked like a totem, right? If we look at the front view, let's take all that and delete it. Right, so they're stacked on top of each other, but they don't feel integrated. And they feel, I understand you're saying they're from multiple creatures, and maybe it's just a matter of aesthetic. For me, I feel that this doesn't read, it reads like a boar snout here in the front, but coming back into here, I'm not really sure what's going on. This, you say this is the primary head?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't read as the primary head. So if we look at examples of chimeric creatures, I'll actually just pull up a chimera. Let's take a look at a chimera. In the most traditional way. Let's see. Chimera. So if you look at this chimera, and this is that one from it's Final Fantasy, right? So if you look at this chimera, you can see that everything is integrated, and there's been some sort of decision made here to go, okay, we're going to go with a lion-type body, right? And same thing if we look here, right? So it's never like, it's not ambiguous, is what I'm saying. Right now, I feel like these claws, I'm not really sure if they're from a crab or from a scorpion. I'm not really sure what's going on in the body, but I feel like you need to, now that you have this, go in and go, okay, is this from um, a millipede? Is this from a centipede? Is it from, and then if you're going to make that decision, so let's pull up like a centipede. Right? I think you got to decide what you're going to do with it, and I think it's a little too much into one thing. Like at least the way that it's constructed right now, like these tentacles, there are these claws coming off the head. It doesn't feel well placed. These coming down, you call them the like squiggly thingies. You need to determine what those squiggly thingies are. Are they tentacles? And if they're tentacles, find creatures that have something similar to that. You could look at a cuttlefish, right? And a cuttlefish has something that you could probably pull from for that concept. But you can't just go, okay, I'm going to pull just these tentacles for this one spot. It does, and you can do anything you want, but I'm saying that if you want it to read well, you have to find some way to integrate it better, where it's not, this isn't the only place where the bore qualities exist. If this head, there has to be some sort of consistent design language all the way through. In other words, the claws look one way. This kind of feels very much like, it reminds me of Super Mario a little bit, these spikes, right? But then we get to the faces, and they feel very different and a little disjointed from the legs. So you have to find some balance where you can tie these elements together. If you can't tie them together, if you're having a hard time with that, I would recommend maybe stripping down your design and maybe going with one head instead of three, just to simplify the design and make it a little bit more digestible for you to go through and say, okay, I can come up with a unified look with this, right? With just having this one creature instead of rather stacking multiple creatures on top of each other, because you might be making it overly complex. So quick notes for you that you can take action on. Let's start with, it's funny, I'm left-handed, so I start writing on the right-hand side of the screen like this, and I always run out of space, so I'm going to try and make a better effort to write on the left here. First thing is find reference for what you want to do. Right? So find reference for what you want to have integrated into here. And then edit. So go through and go, does he need this many legs? Does he need this many pinchers? Is it making it too confusing? If I want this many legs and I want to have, if you want to have all this going on, then you're going to have to play with size and scale so that it reads. And once again, loop that back into your reference when you edit. Okay. Next thing, I would like you to try removing these heads and stick with, you said there's a head underneath here, right? That has sort of like a, what's that?
It was just two heads.
It's just the two heads. Okay. So then decide on which head to go with. And I wouldn't have it floating above, right? And I would try doing this with just one head and see if it becomes more simplified for you and easier for you to work with, right? And then work on integrating that one head, whether it's this one or this one. So let's try. experiment.
Well, what if I got rid of these two heads? Because I like the scuttlefish and use the scuttlefish face as a single head that looms upward and connects with the body, and still keep those like that with tentacles and have the other stuff on the beneath it.
Okay, but I'd say that if you're going to do something like this, you're going to have to kind of look at what you're integrating. Like, how does that play into the rest of the creature? So figure that out. Whether that's going to be, let's see, there's some prehistoric mollusks. Let's see.
Because I used the reference from the Japanese giant crab
Uh-huh.
and the horny orb weaver spider.
Okay. I would say you can take those ideas and you can roll it into something that'll help you pull it together because it exists in the real world. And that's something like a nautilus, right? Where you have something similar coming out of a shell or a hard surface. You could look at, and I always forget the name of this damn thing. There's this prehistoric, there you go, Camarasaurus. It's like a giant squid that sits inside of a conical shell, and that's something else you could pull from. But if you look at the face here and you look at the face here, they have very similar attributes. Outside of that, that's really weird, by the way. Is that a real thing? I've never even seen that. That's awesome. But yeah, I would look at, I would experiment with the heads, right? So whether that's a cuttlefish or using an existing head, you need to experiment with the heads. Let's see. Next, let's take a look at your other shots. I would, until you get this sorted out, as far as just the general structure of the body. Yeah, that's a really weird shark. Look at the lower jaw rolls out. Bizarre. All right, so then, yeah, I think that's enough. Those 3 points will help you out. I'd say until then, until you get these things worked out, until you get this worked out, remove the armor and chains. All right, and make that a separate thing that you tackle after the fact.
Okay.
All right, so find your reference, make your edits with regards to scale and read, and deciding how many limbs there's actually going to be, and whether they're all working together. Right? Like you got tentacles here, claw here, tentacles here, but they don't read as tentacles. These legs feel very disjointed. They're not set down all on the ground, so it's making it more difficult to read. You're gonna have to edit it and then experiment with the head so that you can get a better read here. Okay, and then remove the armor and chains until you have that done. All right.
Okay.
All right, Claude. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day, sir.
Thanks.
All right. Marcos, you got a mic today? No? I heard you for a second. Or at least it sounded like I heard you for a second. No mic, okay. All right, so let's take a look at your dragons. Actually, let me get the larger image because I think that's a preview thumbnail. So All right. So you're doing this in a neutral pose for rigging purposes, which is cool. Let me take a look. At what you have so far. All right. So I'll tell you where I feel everything is strong. Right? Yeah. You uploaded a third image here? Because I have this one, but I'm focusing on this one image for right now, unless you just uploaded a new one. Nope, it's the same one. Okay. Yeah, I have this image over here. But for right now, I want to focus on the overall creature. So I want to take a look at just this right now. I'm going to give you my first impressions where I feel like you have strengths and where I think you can might be able to improve in areas. So I think that I'm loving the head. I wouldn't change a thing. This is, let me do this on a new layer. This is awesome. Really, really strong. And I don't think there's a thing I would change in here. It's very crocodilian. I would probably play off that more and elaborate that more on the future. And I think that you need, or when you work on this more, and the mouth I'm cool with. This is all cool. It's very nice crocodilian head. Let's zoom out. Love that element. The structure of the feet, very nice. And the scale reads well too. So where I feel like you need to sort of work or play with this a little bit, it's sort of stuff that I had said previously. I would probably take either this center set of wings and extend them out, and maybe take these and bring them in, or maybe do it this way, extend it out, go shorter here, and go shorter here. But I think that having these all at the same level, there's something that feels awkward, at least for this style of wing. Unless I could see some sort of overlap happening. I'd say if there was some overlap, maybe that might feel better to me. But right now, as thin as they are, as separated as they are with this gap in between, I'd say that you need to play with the length a little bit. I think this might make more sense, though. Let's see, these horns. So the two horns are cool, but I think it interrupts something in the head. Like this, the way that these are placed detracts from the head. Right now, my eye keeps on going here and not here. And I think there's a couple reasons why it's happening like that. I think that the It's a matter of scale, placement, and sort of a decision to do both. Have you tried looking at it, one, just without these at all? Okay, fair enough. So instead of doing two, why not try one coming out, right? And let's take, and if you are going to do two, let's take, getting my Photoshop shortcuts confused with my ZBrush shortcuts. And try something like that, but even then I think that's still too big. Let's go something more along those lines. And maybe this is something that, you know, like the frilled lizard, how it throws its, as a sign of aggression, it throws those spines forward. I think this could be the same thing. So maybe these can relax back, you know, they can relax back or get thrown forward depending on what it's doing. It can become an animatable element rather than just a fixed element. All right, next I'm going to look at your overall silhouette. And right now, I mean, I know what you're going for, and I think that it does feel very serpentine. It feels very snake-like in the body. But I think that just for the sake of the read of the dragon, I think that, let's see, I'm going to pull up some examples of where I feel this could pull some inspiration from. So let's go a newt. No, let's go salamander. Tiny salamander. I very much feel like the body and the relationship between the limbs and the body feels like this. It's a California salamander, and I actually found this guy. I found this guy in my yard the other day, and they're not supposed to be this. I'm in Los Angeles, and it's not supposed to be this far south. It's supposed to be up in Northern California, so I was surprised to find it. But I found one of these in my yard the other day, and this is very much what it's reminding me of. You know, it's a very worm-like or snake-like body with sort of these tiny limbs that come out on either side. And honestly, I would consider looking at it without the limbs at all if you're going to go with this style of body, right? I would think about I would look at maybe removing the limbs altogether or reducing them even further and maybe throwing in an extra set somewhere along the way so he has 3 sets of limbs. That's one suggestion. The other suggestion is to go with scaling up the chest and the pelvis a little bit. Go ahead and keep the thinness here in the waist, but scale this up and scale this up along with the limbs so that he feels like he has some power when he lands. They're not just they're not sort of dead or dying appendages, right? Because right now it feels like they might help him slither a little bit on the ground, but they're not really going to they're not going to be a powerful part of him or a part that could actually provide him with any serious locomotion aside from, you know, being like something for him to prop himself up on when he's not flying. It feels like he'd be flying all the time. Other ideas just to break silhouette. You could look at, why am I not painting? So weird. Let's try this. You know what? I bet you, no? No. Anyways, you could try putting a frill down here at the bottom. I'm not sure why it's not painting right now. That's odd. Let's try switching tools. Let's try deselecting. So odd. All right, maybe my Photoshop broke. That is so bizarre. All right. Anyways, you might want to try frills down here at the bottom. So try creating a new layer. All right. Let's go back to the brush. Huh. Let's try this. Oh, it's writing on here. I must have hit some unknown shortcut because I'm getting no opacity on here. That's normal. Not painting on a quick mask. Weird. All right, so hold on just 1 second, folks. So that's that, right? I would work on the horns, the scale of the wings, and maybe a frill down here at the bottom. So let's go 3 points here. Horns. Wings. And we'll say torso silhouette. And this is really a matter of scale and proportion. Always running out of space here. Oops, I can spell proportion, I swear. There we go, proportion. Get rid of that T right there. All right, so play with the horns, play with the wings, try and come up with some variations, get that overlap maybe, or you know, getting the scale going like that, like I already said, like try playing with different ways of setting those wings so it's not all one consistent skinny thing, right? Or go with the overlap. All right. Sound good? Fantastic. All right, Simon, I am going to move on to your piece. Let's close these up. Yeah, that head looks really, really good, Marcos. I like it a lot. I think I just closed up on Simon's by accident. I think I just closed up your close-ups. All right, so Simon, do you have a mic on you? Ish. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you regardless so we can see if we can chat. Hello there, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hey,
yeah. How's it going, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, doing quite well. All right. I love your renders, by the way. They're really, really cool. The fact that you're going to Keyshot, and it kind of it helps visualize it all a bit more, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so let's look at your additions. You went with a larger claw. This is nice. I see you kind of have those arrows or spears sticking out.
Yeah,
No,
they're just kind of placeholders at the moment.
okay. I'm not quite sure what that is right there. Is this more stuff that's been stuck into them?
That was kind of like a dripping of gunk or something. It was just literally just a quick test. It's on a different subtool, but
That's kind of
just started
cool.
playing around.
Yeah, I maybe elaborate on this a little bit more. It could be a cool element, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this. I wonder how this would be. I wouldn't know how to accomplish this inside of Unreal. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess you could do maybe try seeing if you could import some sort of blend shape. That might work,
yeah,
or use some. There might be some fluid dynamic system inside of Unreal that might work. But this would probably require a bit of coding, honestly, like a little bit of engineering that goes beyond, importing art and or importing a model and rigging it and lighting it and shading it and all that, or a little bit more than PBR could deliver on its own. Uh, this is looking nice. I like the little bit of subsurface with a little bit of Fresnel you have going on here. That's looking cool.
yeah. That's just on the skin kind of material that's in Keyshot.
Yeah, it does. I haven't really played with tuning the skin material much, but it looks like I don't know, it looks a little strong, I guess. But anyways, let's not get into render. We'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to look at your design. Uh, that's a nice element. Your spine. You have a lot of implied detail, like as far as like you're going to go ahead and do this, and I can see you starting to sort those things out. That's a huge positive. Um, this limb in particular, or this hand, um, it reads really well. I mean, this is a strong point. Like I could see the palm. I could see that I could see each digit, and it feels natural. It feels like that's the way it would exist, especially in the language of the character. And I mean, from your largest forms down into your smallest forms, you have a consistent design language. That is very good to see. But let's go to your other views, and I don't want to just flatter you. I want to give you something to work with. So I'm going to have a quick look over everything. We go to your close-ups. And let's go to looks like I accidentally closed both of these. All
I
right.
think there's like a sheet of a few of the grey ones as well, but quite small.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I saw that, and I don't know if we need to bring that one in,
Okay, cool.
because I think everything else you have, you covered that. Like it expresses everything you already have in these other shots. So let's look at from the side. Started playing with some texture here, which is nice. Are these more sort of slimy bits, or what is this piece that's sitting in here now?
That's the egg sac. It's kind of like a round, but it's, in these shots, it's kind of hard to see. It looks a bit better when you're actually looking at the 3D model, but it's kind of a round egg sac ball, and it's kind of like a webby, gooey thing that's stuck by strands.
Okay.
And there's also like a tube at the back. I think if there's a close-up, I think you have it open, close-up of the bottom of it, yeah. So there's a tube at the back there where the eggs get laid into it, and I think it opens up and drops them out, and there's some arms grabbing it.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I like it. It reminds me of this reminds me of a face hugger a lot. It reminds me of the alien face hugger. It's cool. For this sort of stuff around here, did you look at different types of sort of arachnid eggs, or were you just pulling straight from?
I pretty much just did it, but I did look at some egg sacs kind of at the same time. I didn't really pull much from them, but I did look at them.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
I just did that randomly.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the only reason why I asked is because I think that being able to sell that, because it is very unique, and it's very out of the realm of what's normal, I think maybe for these pieces, you're going to need to find some good references as far as how this is harnessed in. Like find some reference in nature how this is going to be, supported in this area. I know that he has fingers that are holding on to it, or she is a very loving mother, father. But I would say that you need to find out what this structure, what makes sense here. And if it's a matter of, what's that?
It kind of reminds me of that stuff, you have a hole in your wall and you use that like filler spray that expands.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I like this edition now that I can see what it is, and honestly, I think you're gonna have to look at your you're gonna have to try to improve your side read in some way. Like the read from the side, it feels like it's a stone. And I know that color will help that, and additional sculpting will elaborate on this, but I think it's really this gap in here.
Yeah.
And then this space in here at the base of this that's making it feel like it's not an integrated part of the of your creature. So I would.
It's a separate thing it's holding underneath. But yeah, I didn't really get too far with it.
So I would just, look at what's going on. Look at your connections. How is it? So I guess the note is, look at how it's tied into the rest of the body. How is it attaching to the rest of the body? Look at that side view, and I think once you start looking at that more, because I mean, you definitely have put some thought into it. I mean, you have these attachments here, and you have this umbilical cord here, right?
Yeah.
But I think, these are, I don't want to say they're Band-Aid solutions, because I don't think they are. I think they're actually very cool ideas. But you got to find some other way that this visually fits in, like the meat of it, not sort of just things that are holding it to it like it's a foreign object.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing all kind of like yours kind of was, with all the round bits like eggs you can actually see, but I just kind of didn't get to that point on it.
Okay. I mean, honestly, like I feel bad because I feel like you're moving in a good direction. It's just a matter of elaborating on what you already have. So let me take a look at your other close-up here of the head and see what else I might have for you. This is very nice. I like this reed in here, especially since it's echoed by these hind limbs or these hind arms, which I don't think I saw before. I don't think I saw this second set. I remember seeing this set. I don't remember seeing the second set. I like the little skull you have in there. It's kind of cool. He needs to clean his teeth. Let's see. Can you give him a
I would like.
Can you give him a toothpick?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
The head, the way the mouth is, like, it kind of looks kind of cool, but at the same time, with those teeth like randomly coming out, and I look at things like, what did I look at? That one that you suggested once that Neville Page did for Star Trek, and that thing's head bursts open. Then also the trilobite thing from Prometheus, and they
Yeah.
sort of open like that, and they just look like 10 times cooler. And I just
Well,
it kind of looked a bit of crap.
Let's take a look. So let's go Neville Page, Ice Monster, Star Trek. Not that one. We want this one. All right, let's pull that up, and I think there's a better shot of that. Is there a larger
Yeah,
shot?
the Prometheus trilobite one. I think that was Neville Page as well.
Yeah.
But that one looks really quite cool.
Well, he has this thing with plants, like plant animals, right? And that's where he pulls a lot of this from. He's looking at flowers, and he's looking at different types of flowers, and that's why I had pulled up the rotting flesh flower.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up again, and let's see if we can't work through this together. And that's not the one. Giant carnivorous flower. So these guys. And I know that like this is not a solution right off the bat, right? It's not like, oh, okay, I get it, and it's not as easy as that. But there is something we can pull from it. One, there it is. That's not it. That's from Ice Age. That's it. That's a better shot of it. All right. So just think about this. You have an inner cavity, you have an inner lining, and then you have the exterior lips, right? If we go to Neville's design, no, there it is right there. You kind of have a similar thing, where you have an inner cavity, you have sort of this inner line, inner radius, and then you have the lips on the outside. I think that if you look, the shape is it looks like it's all repeating, right? But it's actually only, let's take this into Photoshop. I wish I could get Neville in here for you, but he is busy with TV and all that stuff. But let's see.
A lot of Kurt Papstein's stuff as well is kind of, he has a few aliens that have opening up heads that look a bit like petals as well, which are quite cool.
Yeah. But I just want to break down the structure for you, right? So it makes it so you can pull elements into your own piece that will make it feel more complete. Because right now, if we look at it, it's very repetitive, right? You do have some stuff in here, but this is the same as this, the same as this, and it's probably what's contributing to your dissatisfaction, right?
Yeah.
So if we break down, say, this, I mean, we have this repeating pattern here. We have another set that's unique here, right? And then we have a lower jaw that's completely unique onto itself. But all of them have teeth that are leading in to the interior, because let me go in with a different color this time, so I can help you break it down visually. All right. So there's that inner cavity. What's
I
that?
haven't seen the film, so I haven't seen this thing. But does that all fold together and close as well? Or
Yes, it does.
it does. Okay.
Yeah. So you have an inner cavity here, right? Then you'll want to build. This is like, have you done much hard surface work?
I've done a bit, but not a great deal.
Okay. So there's a layering. There's a layer. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was just saying, for some things like little accessories, I'm probably more comfortable doing in Maya. But
Okay. Well, there's this concept of layering, right? Where you have, and it's easy to express when you're talking in terms of hard surface objects. You have a frame, you have sort of mechanical bits or guts, and then you have your shell, your enclosure, right? And that's the simplest way to express it, and it can become more complex than that, but that's the simplest way to express it. So if you look at it, there's sort of a three-stage layering going on, right? And we can kind of follow that you can follow it in creature design. So if we're looking at this mouth, you have your heart, right? Or you have this cavity. Then you have a second region that builds out from that, and you could look at that as its own region. Then you have the extremities, right? And those should be unique.
Yeah.
So what I think is successful that Neville has done in this is that he has these lead-ins through each area, right? And they're unique. This is unique these two are unique from these two from this one. But each of these regions is also unique. So there's overlapping and separation at the same time. Anyways, that's what I think is lacking in yours. So if we look at yours, let's go over here. I would say you need to, it looks like you've already sort of intuitively started to do it, right? So you have, whether this was intentional or no, you have that center region, right? In yours, you would have that.
Yeah, that's kind of the only bit there that I'm kind of comfortable with, and that circle of teeth.
Right.
The rest of it just looks randomly placed.
On the exterior, or the extremities, you might want to play with a difference in shape here, maybe a slight difference in structure, whatever that might mean, right? And then maybe look at something filling in on the side. Because if you look at like how these will close, maybe there's something that needs to fill in that gap there.
Yeah.
So does that help you a bit? And then instead of random teeth, look at rows. And that'll give you something else to play with, another element to play with to distinguish sort of the different areas of the mouth. And instead of, I think maybe right now you have a square composition, right? Maybe see, I don't know, like let's take a look at your shot from the front where you can see the whole body. Instead of square, why don't you try sort of like something vertical, rectangular, or horizontal rectangular, and that'd be my final suggestion for you.
Cool.
And that's it.
I had another. You see the legs?
Yes.
They're kind of like, I'm finding it hard to make them. They seem like wobbly and weird. It's kind of hard for me to get it into the right kind of smooth shape. And like an actual leg, it's kind of all lumpy.
I think, zero meshing is going to help that.
Okay.
Right. Once you go through and you zero mesh it, or we go through and retopologize it, that's going to that's going to get rid of your lump sculpt in there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's just the surface quality?
Yeah, just to have an overall, blobbiness.
Okay. Yeah, that's an easy fix.
Okay.
And if you want, why don't you upload and share your file with me, and I can demonstrate that in our next session. It's sort of how to go through that and clean areas like that up.
Yeah, it feels like I need to go down to a much lower poly, which I guess would be, remeshing it and stuff.
Yeah, because if you zero mesh and subdivide that, like I wouldn't go through, like you went through and you did a lot of elaboration, and maybe I would hold off on that elaboration for right now, right? Because I'm gonna end up having you guys, elaborate this in a very specific way instead of ZBrush, right? This was our concept, but you took it fairly deep. I mean, your back looks, that's a lot of information that you threw in there. But I would say hold off on the elaboration for now, and then we'll talk about controlling the mesh and sort of keeping your surfaces clean next class. Because we're gonna add some more complex accessories. I'll be working on like the Spanish galleon, but I can dedicate a portion of class to just talking about that.
Okay, cool.
All right. So that's what I have for you guys today. And do you have any last minute questions?
I think I'm okay.
Are you good? All right. Well, thank you very much, Simon, and thank you for your awesome work. Let's all push this to get the cover of 3D Artist, honestly. I mean, this is some good stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing the end result of your guys' work. And I don't say that facetiously. I say that sincerely. Yeah, you guys have made some really good headway this week. So next class, we're going to be adding in more complex stuff, mostly in accessories, but I'll be covering sort of complexity in the design a little bit more. And sort of Christian has already dipped a toe into that as far as like determining functionality, specific components. But yeah, outside that, that's it. All right, you guys have a great day, and I'll have these up soon. All right?